जय। नितिलपविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत श्रीमद श्रील भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिलपविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत श्रीमद भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिलपविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिलपविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत श्रीमद भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिलपविष्टम विष्णुपाद शतर शत श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिलपविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोविंददास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिलपविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिलपविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपनु गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रमानंदारी श्री गोपाल वृंद की जय। नाम चाहे श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री सारार्थ दर्शनी वृत्ति की जय। श्री गोवर्धन धारण लीला की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। धन्यवाद। प्रणाम everybody। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीश्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणति नामिने। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयमुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वपद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना एति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्न वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bo, Raj Bhuvan Yadav Ji, Indira Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Rukmini Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, Yashoda Didi, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Sajan Maharaj. Dandavat Pranams Maharaj. Yeah, so I'm Prajumna Prabhu. Yeah, I do look a bit sleepy. Yeah, the reason I'm oh, I'll definitely do a reading for Srimati Radharani before Darśinī. But yeah, I'm feeling a bit sick. I haven't eaten anything for over 24 hours now. Yeah, I got some kind of stomach problem, and I felt like really nauseous all day yesterday, and I kept on like dry heaving and yeah, not feeling very well. But yeah, it's okay. That's why I'm a little bit out of it though. I'm like kind of spacey. Tanda pranams Madhavi Didi. All right. So yeah, Shivas isn't available to read right now. And so thanks, Prajumna Prabhu. Yeah, Srivas isn't able to read right now. And soon, Janaki Didi, she's going to be coming over to enter in the last half of the corrections. Yesterday, we did the first half of the corrections in the songbook. And this morning, right after I finish reading, we're going to enter in all the last corrections. Yeah, and then it's going to the printers, the new Gaudiya Giti Kucha. So I'll just read from this Bhagavat Pravaha, just to catch us up where we are. As Krishna turned 7 years old one day, as Krishna turned 7 years old, one day he saw the Vrajavasis making elaborate arrangements for a ceremony. Krishna then asked Nanda Maharaj about the purpose of the ritual. Nanda explained, "My dear boy, this is traditional worship called Indra Puja, performed to please the demigod Indra who gives us rain. Rain is vital for our living and agriculture." And Krishna replied, "Happiness, distress, and fear are just the effects of karma. Indra cannot change one's karma. The clouds pour rain everywhere, including the oceans. What has Indra got to do with this arrangement? My dear father, our specific relationship is with the forest and the Govardhan hill. Therefore, I request you to forgo Indra Puja and worship the Govardhan hill instead." Nanda said that they could worship Govardhan separately another time, but Krishna insisted that all the paraphernalia that had been already arranged for Indra Puja must be used for Govardhan Puja. He proposed, "Prepare various kinds of food items. Brahmins must invoke a sacrifice, feed the cows, and present offerings to Govardhan hill. After everyone has eaten to their satisfaction, circumambulate the cows, Brahmins, sacrificial fire, and Govardhan hill." Nanda Maharaj and the other senior members other senior members of the cowherd community gladly accepted Krishna's sweet and logical proposal and performed Govardhan Puja as he desired. Krishna assumed the form of a mountain and accepted all the offerings. He offered obeisances to Govardhan, and then Krishna offered obeisances to Govardhan and asked everyone else also to do so. Being the all-pervading supersoul, Krishna was aware that Indra at that time was puffed up of his kingly position and heavenly opulence. Wanting to inculcate humility in him, Krishna stopped Indra's worship while simultaneously inaugurating the most exciting tradition of Govardhan Puja for all time to come. Knowing that his sacrifice had been put aside, Indra became furious. He sent the powerful Samvartak clouds that are capable of destroying the entire universe upon Vrindavan. With wild lightning, thunder, and winds, the Samvartak clouds poured water incessantly in Vrindavan, like piercing sharp arrows as thick as pillars, along with heavy pieces of ice. All the lands were filled with water. The cows were severely tormented by the cold and took their calves underneath their bodies. All the Vrajavasis took shelter of Lord Govinda. Krishna then prepared himself to counteract this deliberate exhibition of Indra's pride and wrath. Just as a child picks up a mushroom, Almighty Krishna then picked up the Govardhan hill and held it with his little finger on his left hand, and called all the Brajvasis along with their animals under the shelter of the huge umbrella of Govardhan. Enlivened, the Brajvasis happily came under Govardhan. In this way, Krishna held Govardhan up for 1 week, while personally reciprocating with the affectionate feelings of all the Brajvasis, who all loved him more than their own lives. Absorbed in Krishna's beautiful form with their loving eyes, none of them were disturbed by hunger, thirst, fear, or any discomfort. Despite his determined efforts for 1 full week, Indra couldn't move even a blade of grass from Govardhan. Why does it always say the Govardhan? It's so annoying. Anyways, his torrents of rain couldn't cause the slightest torment for the Vrajvasis. Coming back to his senses, Indra asked the clouds and the winds to desist. As the rains and winds stopped, Krishna asked the Vrajvasis to return home. Krishna replaced Govardhan back in its position. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, the Vrajvasis greeted Krishna according to their individual relationships. Yashoda, Rohini, Nanda, and Balaram embraced Krishna. Krishna became celebrated from then on as Giridhari, the lifter of Govardhan Hill. All right, so I think that's where we read up to last time. Hare Krishna, Gargrajji, and Yashoda Didi. Calm leg powder. Okay, we'll check that out. Calm leg powder. Oh, Calm Meg. Okay. Cool. Thanks. Oops. Where are we? Okay, so now chapter 26. What's going on? Did it just close? That's so weird. Let me just try opening it up again. Open. Okay. There. What was the last verse that we ended with? What was the last thing? Okay, so the last verse in the previous chapter. My dear Parikshit, the demigods in heaven resoundingly played their conch shells and kettle drums, and the best of the Gandharvas, led by Tumburu, began to sing. Surrounded by his loving cowherd boyfriend and Lord Balaram, Krishna then went off to the place where he had been tending his cows. The cowherd girls returned to their homes, singing joyfully about the lifting of Govardhan Hill and other glorious deeds performed by Lord Krishna, who had so deeply touched their hearts. Chapter 26. Wonderful Krishna. 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Evang vidhani karmani gopa krishna se vikshate atarvirya vida prochu samabhyetya suvismita. Shukadev Goswami said, the cowherd men were astonished when they saw Krishna's activities, such as lifting Govardhan Hill. Unable to understand his transcendental potency, they approached Nanda Maharaj and spoke as follows. Comment Sārārtha Darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In this chapter, Nanda Maharaj describes Krishna's opulences as he had heard of them from Garga Muni in order to remove the doubts of the cowherd men about Krishna's powers. Because all the Vrajvasis were immersed in tasting the sweetness of Krishna while he lifted Govardhan Hill, the opportunity to think about Krishna's astonishing power did not arise. Afterwards, when they had returned to their homes, they all began to have a doubt. Thus they thought, Now we have directly seen child Krishna lift Govardhan hill, and we remember how he killed Putana and other demons, extinguished the forest fire, and so on. At that time, we thought that these extraordinary acts occurred because of a benediction from the Brahmins, or because of Nanda Maharaja's great fortune, or that perhaps this boy had achieved the mercy of the Lord Narayan and was thus empowered by him. But all these presumptions are false, because an ordinary 7-year-old boy could never hold up the king of mountains for 7 whole days. Krishna is not a human being. He must be the Supreme Lord himself. But on the other hand, child Krishna loves it when we coddle him, and he becomes morose when we, his father, mother, aunts, uncles, and well wishers, simply worldly cowherd men, do not give him attention. He's attention hungry. He appears to become hungry and thirsty, steals yogurt and milk, sometimes plays tricks, blatantly tells lies, he chatters childishly, and tends the calves. If he is actually the Supreme Lord, why would he do these things? Don't they indicate that he is an ordinary human child? We are totally unable to establish the truth of Krishna's identity. Therefore, let us go and inquire from the highly intelligent King of Vraj, Nanda Maharaj, and he shall free us from our doubts. Thinking in this way, the cowherd men entered Nanda Maharaj's great assembly hall and questioned him as described in the following verse. One second, just need to see this message. Oh. Guys, do you mind if I just quickly listen to this, because this is kind of urgent stuff. I'm just going to mute this for a second, and then I just... All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, songbook stuff's urgent. Yeah, I don't think any of the WhatsApp stuff was confidential. That's why I didn't mind just putting it up. But I did. You couldn't hear the voice message, right? Anyways, okay. Balakasya yadetani karmanyatyarbhutani vai katam arhatya so janma gramyeshvatma jugupsitam. The cowherd men said, "Since this boy performs such extraordinary activities, how could he warrant a birth among worldly men like us, a birth that for him would seem contemptible?" Commentary. Cowherd men said, "Since this boy has performed such astonishing activities, he cannot be an ordinary boy, but he must be God. But if that is so, how could he be born in a cowherd family and become the object of criticism? Even the minor avatars are not born in such low family as ours. What to speak of the outstanding avatars?" The use of the word aso to denote Krishna indicates that he was not present because he had gone to the forest. The full expression of their feelings could take place only in Krishna's absence. Yasapta hayano bala kare naikena lilaya katang bibhrad girivaram pushkaram gajaradiva. How could this 7-year-old boy playfully hold up the great hill Govardhan with one hand, just as a mighty elephant holds up a lotus flower? Commentary. The cowherd men said, "If this child is not the Supreme Lord, how could he perform such astonishing feats?" This is the intention of the next 12 verses. Wow, 12 verses. How did a 7-year-old boy hold Govardhan in one hand for 7 days? The following verses answer this question. Tokena militakshena putanaya mahojasa pitastana saha pranay kalineva vayastano. As a mere infant who had hardly yet opened his eyes, he drank the breast milk of the powerful demoness Putana and then sucked out her very life air as well, just as the force of time sucks out the youth of one's body. Commentary. Here the cowherd mean to say, how could a mere infant with half-closed eyes so easily kill a very powerful demoness? Half-closed eyes indicates this was done unseen by others, just as, unnoticed, the irresistible power of time takes away one's life. Hinvato dashayanasya masyasya charanavudak anupatad viparyastam ruda rudata prapadahatam. Once, when he was only 3 months old, little Krishna was crying and kicking up his feet as he lay beneath a huge cart. Then the cart fell and turned upside down simply because it was struck by the tip of his toe. Commentary. Here the cowherd men mean to say, how could Krishna, when he was only 3 months old, kick up his feet as he lay beneath a huge cart and strike it with such force that it turned over and collapsed? Ekahayana asino riyamano vihayasa taitena yastrina vartam ahan kanta grahaturam. At the age of 1, while sitting peacefully, he was taken up into the sky by the demon Trinavarta. But baby Krishna grabbed the demon's neck, causing him great pain, and thus killed him. Commentary. Here the cowherd men mean to say, how could Krishna at the tender age at the age of 1, when he was only 1 year old, how could he kill the demon Trinavarta after being whisked into the sky? Kvachir dayangavastanye matra baddha udukale gachan arjunayor madhye bahubhyang tav apatayat. Once his mother tied him with ropes to a mortar because she caught him stealing butter. Then, crawling on his hands, he dragged the mortar between a pair of Arjuna trees and pulled them down. Commentary. Here the cowherd men mean to say, how could Krishna, who is tied up for stealing butter, crawl away and knock down a pair of Arjuna trees? Vani sancharayan vatsan saramo balakarvirta antu kamam bakang dorbhyam mukhatorim apatayat. Another time, when Krishna was tending the calves in the forest together with Balaram and the cowherd boys, the demon Bakasura came with the intention of killing Krishna. But Krishna seized this inimical demon by the mouth and tore him apart. Commentary. Here the cowherd men mean to say, how could he hold the beaks of the baka and bifurcate them? Vatseshu vatsarupena pravishantam jighangsaya hatvanya patayat nitena kapithani chalilaya. Desiring to kill Krishna, the demon Vatsa disguised himself as a calf and entered among Krishna's calves. Krishna killed the demon and, using his body, enjoyed the sport of knocking kapitha fruits down from the trees. Hatva rasava daityayam tarbandungscha balanvita chakretalavanam kshemam paripakva palanvitam. Together with Lord Balaram, Krishna killed the jackass demon and all his friends, thereby securing the safety of the Talavan forest, which abounded with fully ripened palm fruits. Commentary. I didn't realize they're called. I thought that was just a male ass or donkey. The first meaning in the dictionary is a stupid person. It's so funny. Okay, commentary. Though Balaram single-handedly killed Denakasura, the jackass demon, the Rasabha demon, In this verse, it says that Krishna and Balaram killed him. This is to give prominence to Krishna's activities. Pralabang ghatayitvogram balena balashalina amochayad vrajapashun gopang charanyavanita. After arranging for the Almighty Lord Balaram to kill the terrible demon Pralamba, Krishna saved Vraja's cowherd boys and their animals from a forest fire. Ashi vishatamahindram damitva vimadang hradat prasayodvasya nyamunam chakreso nirvishodakam. Krishna chastised the most poisonous serpent, Kaliya, and after humbling him, he drove him forcibly from the lake of the Yamuna. In this way, the Lord made the water of that river free of the snake's powerful poison. Commentary. Here, the cowherd men mean to say, how could this little boy humble the most poisonous king of snakes so that he left that lake? 13. Dustyajashchanuragosmin sarvesham no vrajokasam nandate tanayesmasu tasyapyo yotpatika katam. Dear Nanda, how is it that we and all the other residents of Vraj cannot give up our constant affection for your son? And how is it that he is so spontaneously attracted to us? Commentary. The wonderful activities of the child were given as evidence to prove that Krishna is God. In this verse, the cowherd men speak to show how they are all united in their devotional feelings towards Krishna. They said, though Krishna is your child, not ours, our loving affection toward him is very strong. Our anurag toward him is very strong. We have parental affection for him. The boys have brotherly love for him. And all the male and female birds and forest animals have strong affection for Krishna too. In all cases, that affection is increasing in newer ways at every moment. Our attraction is natural, and we cannot give it up, even though we now see that Krishna has the qualities of God. One has more affection for one's own body than wealth and children, and more affection for one's soul than the body, and more affection for Paramatma than one's own soul. Thus, Krishna must be Paramatma. Otherwise, such affection could not be possible if Krishna were a mere human being. Nanda Maharaj replied, but if you conclude that Krishna is the Paramatma, then how is it possible for Paramatma to have such natural attraction towards the Vrajavasis and the animals of the forest? Being self-satisfied, Paramatma Krishna should be indifferent to everything. Being self-satisfied Paramatma. Whoa. A chipmunk just came inside the office. Whatever. I didn't even leave the door open. How did it get in here? Anyways, Nanda Maharaj replied, but if you conclude that Krishna is the Paramatma, then how is it not possible for Paramatma to have such natural attraction for the Vrajavasis and the animals of the forest? Being the self-satisfied Paramatma, Krishna should be indifferent to everything. How could he feel such constant love for us who are absorbed in material life? Kva saptahayano bala, kva mahadri vidaranam, tato na jayate shankha vrajanata tavatmaje. On the one hand, this boy is only 7 years old, and on the other, we see that he has lifted the great hill Govardhan. Therefore, O King of Vraj, a doubt about your son arises within us. Commentary. The cowherd men have directly described Krishna's holding up Govardhan hill, but they repeat the description again in this verse because of their astonishment. Then Sri Nanda Maharaj replies, Sri Nanda Uvacha, Shruyatang me vacho gopa vyetu shankha chavor bhake enam kumara uddishya gargo me yaduvachaha. Nanda Maharaj replied, O cowherd men, oh my God, chipmunk's right next to my feet.
Nanda Maharaj replied, O cowherd men, just hear my words and let your doubts concerning my son be gone. Some time ago, Garga Muni spoke to me as follows about this boy. Commentary. Nanda Maharaj said, I will relieve your doubts by reciting what I heard from Garga Muni. Due to my past pious activities, Lord Narayan has entered my son to mercifully deliver me from danger. Varnastraya kilasyasan grinato no yugam tanu shuklo raktas tatapita idanim krishnatam gata. Look, there's evidence that Krishna comes in a golden form in Kali Yuga, Pita. Garga Muni had said, your son Krishna appears as an incarnation in every millennium. In the past, he assumed 3 different colors, white, red, and yellow, and now he has appeared in a blackish color. Commentary. This and the next 6 verses, 17 through 22, are taken from the 8th chapter of this canto, in which Garga Muni instructs Nanda Maharaj about Nanda's son Krishna. Oh wow. I think this is the first time in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that we're seeing so many verses reused. Pragayam Vasudevasya Kvachid Jatastavatmaja Vasudeva iti Shriman Avigya Samprachakshate. For many reasons, this beautiful son of yours sometimes appeared previously as a son of Vasudeva. Therefore, those who are learned sometimes call this child Vasudeva. Bahuni santinamani rupani cha sutasyate guna karmanu rupani tanyaham vedano jana. For this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities and activities. These are known to me, but people in general do not understand them. Eshava Shreya Adhasyar Gopa Gokulanandana Anena Sarva Durgani Yuyam Anjastarishyata. To increase the transcendental bliss of the cowherd men of Gokul, this child will always act auspiciously for you, and by his grace only, you will surpass all difficulties. Puranena Vrajapate Sadhavo Dasyupidita Arajake Rakshamana Jigyur Dasyun Samedita. O Nanda Maharaj, as recorded in history, when there was an irregular, incapable government, Indra having been dethroned, and when honest people were being harassed and disturbed by thieves, this child appeared in order to curb the rogues and to protect the people and enable them to flourish. Ya etasmin mahabhage pritim kurvanti manava narayo bhavantintan Vishnu pakshan ivasura. Demons cannot harm the demigods, who always have Lord Vishnu on their side. Similarly, any person or group attached to all auspicious Krishna cannot be defeated by enemies. Tasman Nanda Kumaroyam Narayana Samo Gunai Shriya Kirtanubhavena Tatkarma Suna Vismaya. Therefore, O Nanda Maharaj, this child of yours is as good as Narayan, and his transcendental qualities, opulence, name, fame, and influence, he is exactly like Narayan. Thus, you should not be astonished by his activities. Commentary. Nanda Maharaj wished to remove their present realization of Krishna's godhood, their Aishwarya Gyan, and increase their understanding of Krishna as their son, brother, and friend. Therefore, in repeating Garga's words, Nanda Maharaj does not say, your son, but this boy, Kumara Ayam, so that the Vrajvasis would feel that Krishna was not only his son, but theirs as well. Though they had seen Krishna's phenomenal powers, they should not give up their affection and should continue to give blessings to him daily. Narayanam Sama, as good as Narayan, means that Lord Narayan's power had entered Krishna, not that Krishna was Narayan. It is just like the Suryakanta stone, which is called thus because of some likeness to the sun. The child was not God, nor was Krishna an ordinary human, but he was someone who could perform extraordinary deeds. Nanda Maharaj said, "This great personality has come as the ornament of our family lineage." Thus, at the conclusion of his statement, Garga said, "You should not be bewildered by your son's activities. Because of Krishna's wonderful activities, you should not think of him as God. You should make him the object of your compassion by blessing him to live a long life. You should not be indifferent to him." Nanda Maharaj then repeated Garga's statement, "Protect him well." By removing the cowherd men's bewilderment, Nanda Maharaj removed their doubts. Ityadamam samadishya garge cha swagriham gate manye narayanasyangsham krishnam aklishtakārinam. Nanda Maharaj continued, "After Garga Rishi spoke these words to me and returned home, I began to consider that Krishna, who keeps us free from trouble, is actually an expansion of Lord Narayan." Commentary. Nanda Maharaj continued, "I consider Krishna, who removes our suffering, to be invested with Lord Narayan's power. Narayanasya Anksham. Iti Nanda Vacha Shrutva Garga Gitam Tavrajokasa Mudita Nandamanarchu Krishnam Cha Gata Vismaya." Shukadev Goswami continued, "Having heard Nanda Maharaj relate the statements of Garga Muni, the residents of Vrindavan became enlivened. Their perplexity was gone, and they worshipped Nanda and Lord Krishna with great respect." Commentary. The Vrajavasis honored Nanda and Krishna with love offerings of gold coins, cloth, and jewels. Krishna was playing in the forest when this conversation took place. So when he returned home, the Vrajavasis encouraged him by decorating Krishna with beautiful yellow clothes, necklaces, armlets, earrings, and crowns, and by shouting, all glories to the jewel of Braj Bhumi. May you live a long life." 25. Deve Varshati Deve. What's the meter for this? I don't even know. Okay. Deve Varshati Yagyaviplavarusha Rajasma Varsha Nilai Siddhatpala Pashus Triatmasharanam Trishvanukam Pyutsa Utsmayamut Utpatyaika Karena Shailam Abala Lilo Chilindram Yatha. Sorry. Bibrar Goshtam Apam Mahendramada Bhit Priyan Na Indrogavam. Sorry, it's all messed up because for some reason in this book, anyways, doesn't matter. Indra became angry when his sacrifice was disrupted, and thus he caused rain and hail to fall on Gokul, accompanied by lightning and powerful winds, all of which brought great suffering to the cowherds, animals, and women there. When Lord Krishna, who is by nature always compassionate, saw the condition of those who had only him as their shelter, he smiled broadly and lifted Govardhan Hill with one hand, just as a small child picks up a mushroom to play with it. Holding up the hill, he protected the cowherded community. May he, Govinda, the lord of the cows and the destroyer of Indra's false pride, be pleased with us. Commentary. Shukadev Goswami said, "O King Parikshit, may that Krishna who lifted Govardhan and protected the Vrajavasis from the disturbances caused by hunger, hail, and rain arising from Indra's wrath, and who expertly initiated the worship of Govardhan to cut down the demigod's pride, may he be pleased with us. In the same way, may he who protects you from the lightning bolt curse of Shringi's anger with the essence of the Vedas in the form of this Bhagavat, who is expert at starting the sacrifice of listening to the Bhagavatam, and who destroyed the pride of the Brahmins devoid of bhakti, may he be pleased with us." In this way, by praying for Krishna's mercy, Shukadev Goswami indicates that Maharaj Parikshit should apply this to himself. Shukadev Goswami said, "Becoming extremely angry over the stopping of a sacrifice, Indra caused torrential rain to inundate Vrindavan. Seeing that the animals, men, and women who had taken shelter of him alone were severely afflicted with the rain, hail, lightning, and wind, Krishna smiled slightly and effortlessly held Govardhan aloft, like a child's lifting a mushroom to protect the land of Vrindavan. May the Lord of the cows, Indrogavam, may the Lord of the cows who destroyed Indra's false pride be pleased with you. May he be pleased with you, with me, and all the assembled listeners. Thus ends the commentary on the 26th chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. Jai. Shri Giridhari Gopala ki Jai. So tomorrow we will read about Lord Indra and Mother Surabhi. Oh wait, and today's the 31st. That means today is also the appearance day of, is it appearance day? One second, let me just look at this calendar thing. It's the appearance day of Sita Thakurani. Okay, let's see if there's anything on Vishwara Chaitanya Vani website. vcvani.com. Maybe Pure Bhakti, I don't know. Nope. Nothing for Sita Thakurani. Doesn't look like it, at least. Is there anything on Pure Bhakti? No. I mean, I know where there's something about Sita Thakurani we could read. Oh, wait. Let's see. Oops. There must be something about Sita Thakurani in Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha. Let's see if anything comes up like this. Anyways, we can just read this. Oh, no, it's there. Srimati Sita Thakurani. Let's see. Where was that? Sita. There. Okay, let's read this. Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj from his book Parshads. This is the previous version of the book, not the new edited version. But anyways, yeah. Let me just check everything is okay. Okay, cool. All right. Advaita Acharya's wife was a respectable and noble woman named Sita Thakurani. Taking permission from her husband, she went to Navadvip bearing gifts to see the crown jewel of infants. It's from Adi Leela, chapter 13, verse 112. She, Sita Thakurani, is to be worshipped just as much as Sachi Devi herself as the mother of the universe. She is the eternal wife of Sri Advaita Acharya. She was the daughter of Sri Nrsimha Baduri. She was married to Sri Advaita Acharya and Pulia Nagar. After their wedding, Advaita Acharya went to Nadia to live in Shantipur. Sita Thakurani was always absorbed in Vatsalya Prem for Sri Gaur Sundar Prabhu, and, out of parental concern, used to instruct Jagannath Mishra on how to care for the boy. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described the birth celebration at the house of Jagannath Mishra upon the advent of the Lord, giving special attention to the position of Sri Sita Thakurani. Advaita Acharya's wife, worshipable by all the three worlds, was Sita Thakurani. Taking the Acharya's orders on her head, she had come to take a look at this new child, this jewel of jewels, and to offer him her presents. On the eve of his son's advent, Sri Jagannath Mishra, seeing the imminent signs of his child's arrival, sent word to Advaita Acharya in Shantipur that the long-awaited child was being born. Hearing news of the advent of this unprecedented child, Advaita Acharya floated in the waves of ecstasy. With Sri Haridas Thakur, he went to bathe in the river, and after much dancing and song, he sent his wife to quickly go to Mayapur in Navadvip. According to Gaur Ganodashtipika, Sri Sita Thakurani is Yoga Maya. Interesting. The Gaur Parshad Charitavali I thought this is the Gaur Parshad Charitavali. Anyways, the Gaur Parshad Charitavali says that in Krishna Lila, she was Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni, grandmother of Madhu Mangal and Nandi Mukhi, and a disciple of Garga Muni. Well, that's the same thing, right? Purnamasi and Yogamaya is really. Gaur Ganodashtipika, however, says that Purnamasi in Krishna Lila became Sri Govinda Acharya in Chaitanya Lila. Interesting. In Dwapar Yuga, during the celebration of Krishna's birth ceremony, she was present in the house of Nanda, and at that time gave Nanda and Yashoda many instructions on how to care for the child. The Chaitanya Charitamrita gives the following account of Sita Thakurani's visits to the house of Jagannath Mishra after the birth of the Lord. One day, shortly after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Devi, who is worshipable by the whole world, taking permission of her husband, went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presents. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including bangles for the hand, armlets, necklaces, and anklets. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented for the child. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorochana, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a big basket. When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Shachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newly born child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokul himself. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgent child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very much pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. She blessed the newly born child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. Also, Sita Thakurani was the one who named him. On the day that the mother and son took bath and left the maternity room, Sita Thakurani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. From that day on, Sita Thakurani would often come to Mayapur from Shantipur in order to teach Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam how to care for the new baby. She would give her many different instructions on how to raise children, and after helping with the child in this way, she'd return to Shantipur. When it came time for the child's birthday ceremony, Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi let the worshipable Sita Thakurani be the first to offer the child his new clothes. Advaita Acharya Prabhu also had a house in Navadvip. There he would live from time to time and discuss Krishna Katha with the devotee headed by Srivas, diving and surfacing in the waves of joy until the break of dawn. After Sri Gaurasunda's appearance, all the devotees prayed together with Sri Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani that the child might live long in Mayapur and have good fortune. Sita Thakurani and Shachi Devi were of one mind. The baby Nimai was their life and soul. Every day, Sita Thakurani would go to the house of Shachi Devi and help her with the care and nurturing of the boy. In the house of Jagannath Mishra, the divine child increased the pleasure of the eyes and minds of all the devotees, just as the waxing moon gradually grows more brilliant with each passing day. After several years, when Jagannath Mishra's son Vishwarup, Nimai's older brother, had grown up, he suddenly took sannyas. The grief and agony of Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi upon their son's leaving was great. Gaurasundar was also dismayed and unhappy at his brother's separation. At that time, Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani consoled Jagannath Mishra and Sita Thakurani and helped take care of Nimai. Srivas Pandit's wife, Malini Devi, was also very affectionate toward the child, nurturing him and caring for him. She and Shachi Devi were of one mind in doing this. After exhibiting his childhood pastimes, Nimai gradually progressed to his Kishore Lila, or his pastimes of youth. After some time, he went to Gaya and revealed his true form and real purpose. Having returned from Gaya, he gathered all the devotees at the house of Srivas Angan for the purpose of beginning kirtan. At that time, Advaita Acharya brought Sita Thakurani from Shantipur to Mayapur, and having arrived there, was the first to worship the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya. One second. Okay. Gradually, Sri Gaur Sundar began, in Navadip, to unfold his kirtan pastimes, wishing to deliver the fallen souls. As time went by, he took sannyas and turned his face towards Vrindavan, and ran off, half mad, into the jungle in search for Sri Krishna. Upon hearing this, Sri Sita Thakurani spent 4 days with Shachi Devi, who plunged in the darkness of separation as if the sun had left the sky forever. They lie fallen on the ground like one near death, like as if they were almost about to die. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being bound by the ropes of love, was unable to go to Vrindavan, but was to return to Shantipur. When he arrived in Shantipur, Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani felt as if their life had returned. After having fasted for 4 days, Sri Gaur Sundar accepted prasad cooked by the hand of Sita Thakurani. Previous to taking sannyas also, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Nityananda Prabhu, would, from time to time, go to the house of Advaita Shantipur, where they would have a festival and perform Krishna Nam Lila Kirtan all day and all night. The beautiful nature of this subject has been described by Sri Parameshwari Das Thakur and as Sri Padakalpataru as follows. One day the Lord laughed, having arrived in the temple of Sri Advaita, and thus the son of Shachi took his seat. Along with Nityananda, Advaita sat down, and the two of them began playfully assessing the idea of having a festival. Hearing all this, Sita Thakurani entered smiling. At that time, in sweet words which made the minds of those who heard them blissful, the son of Shachi ruled that there must be a great festival. He said, "Listen, Sita Thakurani, we shall extend invitations to all the different Vaishnavas who live nearby. Let whoever hears the sound of our song resounding through the air come and join us. We shall invite one and all." Saying this, Sri Gaur Chandra gave orders to the devotees, saying, "You invite the Vaishnavas. You, ready the mridanga and kartals. You, prepare sandalwood and aguru for distribution. Have everything ready at the ghat." Carrying out these assignments expertly, and after garlanding the devotees with flower garlands, the devotees shall gather together in a circle for an uproarious kirtan. Hearing the words of Mahaprabhu, the devotees followed his orders with great affection, collecting garlands, sandalwood, betel, ghee, and milk, and everything else essential for worshipping the Lord. The different gifts and fragrant articles for the devotees and the Lord were then distributed in the proper ways. The kirtan began at midday. At that time, everyone chanted, "Hari, Hari," and the mridanga made the whole kirtan auspicious. Thus swims Parameshwari Das in the rasic pastimes of the Lord. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and went to live in Jagannath Puri, Sri Advaita Acharya and Sita Thakurani used to go and visit him each year, bringing their son Achyutananda with them. On one such occasion, Sita Thakurani prepared some of the Lord's favorite preparations for him and invited him to their home to take lunch. Simply to increase their ecstasy, the Lord, who is always absorbed in Krishna Nam, honored their invitation and took lunch in the home of Advaita and Sita. When Shachi and the people of Navadip heard that Gaur Hari was at Advaita's house, when they heard that Gaur Hari was at Advaita's, they all came there to visit him. Seeing him in his dress as a sannyasi, they felt joy mixed with separation. Sita Thakurani prepared an immense meal and served it on whole leaves from seed banana trees. As Mahaprabhu and Nityananda ate, Advaita Prabhu talked and joked with them. This has been extensively described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 3. Mahaprabhu afterwards also ate foodstuffs prepared by Shachi Devi in order to ease the suffering he had imposed on her by his departure. The reunion of devotees turned into a great festival, and Adwaita's house in the town of Shantipur was transformed into the city of Vaikuntha. Sita Thakurani, being always overwhelmed with Vatsalya Prem, treated him as affectionately as if he were her own son. The Lord himself was also treated her with the same kind of regard and affection that he had for Shachi Devi herself. She, Sita Thakurani, bore 3 sons, Achyutananda, Krishna Mishra, and Gopal Mishra, who were followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he also had 3 sons that were not followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? According to Bhakti Ratnakar, Sri Sita Thakurani's father was Sri Nrsimha Baduri. Sita Thakurani also had a sister, Shri. According to the Gaur Ganadashtipika, Sita Thakurani, the wife of Sri Advaita Acharya, is Yogamaya, and her sister Shri is the Prakash, or manifestation of Yogamaya. Yogamaya Bhagavati Grihini Tasya Sampratam Sita Rupena Vatirna Shri Namni Tat Prakashata. All right. Jai Sita Thakurani ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Balavatita Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. What time is it? 8:30. Wow, we ended just on time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Guru Dev ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchid Ananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupano Goriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Nama Jai Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shikshetra Mandal, Gora Mandal, Braja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Shri Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura ki Jai. Shri Sārārtha Darśinī Vritti ki Jai. Shri Sita Thakurani ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrinda Tulsi Devaya Priya Krishna Vashita Krishna Bhakti Padadi Satyavataya Namo Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namo. Dandavat Pranams, dear devotees. See you all tomorrow. Thanks, Rukmini Didi and Intira Mataji. Haribol. Yeah, it was nice reading, wasn't it? Haribol. See you all tomorrow.